I'm still deep diving into fingerboards. This is probably the last video in this sort of little mini series about guitar fingerboards, and this one's kind of fun. I had a visitor. Here he is.
Hey, it's me, Tim, and in my shop today is Jeff Shaw. Jeff is from Narwhal Labs in Bristol, Rhode Island, which is sponsored by Total Boat. And Jeff, you basically run the show there, right?
More or less. I'm director of the Makerspace Narwhal Labs, where you can become a member, come in and use our tools and equipment, and we'll teach you how to do cool stuff and use Digifab tools, epoxy resin, traditional woodworking tools, and we're going to be building a metal shop soon too. So be sure to check that out. And we've been making a lot of cool videos. They're up on the Narwhal Labs channel, and I'm sure, Tim, you'll link that below.
Yeah, I'll put all the links on the screen or whatever. If you look back in my catalog, I was there in August last year, and we brought my guitar truck in and did some painting and stuff at your shop too.
We certainly did. And we're here today to do something a little bit different. We've done micarta work on our Narwhal Labs channel before, but Tim got the wind of it, and we want to do a cool micarta layup here for one of your guitars.
Yeah, so this is a little bit out of the ordinary for me because, you know, I basically work in all reclaimed, sustainable, I'm a garbage picker and all that, but I saw the end results of what you guys were doing with this micarta stuff, and I wanted to make a fingerboard out of it, so I instantly wrote to Jeff. I was like, can we make this big enough to make a guitar fingerboard? And he was like, yep. And so here we are, we're going to try it. It's not necessarily like the most eco-friendly way to do thing, but I guess you could compare it to ebony. I think it's still better than ebony.
It certainly is. So here's what we're going to use to make our Damascus micarta. First off, we need our fabric here. This is just basic cotton fabric from the fabric store. You could always use reclaimed. I'm gonna pop some tags. Or buy from their remnants section, so you're not wasting as much. But this is just a basic cotton fabric that we laser cut on our Thunder laser over in the shop. You could always, of course, just do it with scissors. But if you got a laser, you might as well use it.
That's right.
Next, we have our 3D printed dies. Now, these are 3D printed in PLA, and they just have a pattern printed in them that when we press the fabric together between it, pushes the different layers together and creates our Damascus effect. We have two of these to achieve our, roughly 4x24 size for a fingerboard here. The mold itself is made from inexpensive melamine board, which generally releases pretty well from epoxy, but we're also going to use some mold release to help with that, and that's going to help us release from the molds and the mold box as well that we're going to press it all in. We have some Total Boat high performance epoxy with slow hardener. This buys us about 30 minutes of work time, give or take, probably a little bit more in this colder shop environment, but we're going to use this to adhere all of our micarta together. And we have paint pots and trays that we're going to use for laying our fabric in and getting it saturated with that resin, getting it all mixed up.
But what is micarta?
Well, micarta is one of the simplest composite materials you can make. You've seen, carbon fiber, racing boats and race cars, but it uses the same process that we're going to use today for micarta. We're taking a textile like a fabric. You can use paper, carbon fiber, any really sort of textile ends up being a micarta in a way when you press it together with resin and you make a new lightweight composite material. So essentially we're just making a composite material just like I have for my wallet here. This wallet is a paper micarta, and Tim, I don't know if you can pull focus on the edge there, you can see all the kind of layers there. And it's all pressed together paper with resin. We're just doing the same thing today with fabric.
But because of the shape of the molds that you created, it won't be straight lines. It will have
all kinds of wavy, curvy stuff going on in there. It's going to look super cool.
Awesome, let's do it.
All right. Epoxy curing is an exothermic reaction, which means it creates heat as it's curing. And while we don't need it a whole lot in the shop, it's not going to hurt us to slow that process down a little bit. So we can put almost like a double boiler, but the opposite. We have a cup of snow here, which is plentiful here in Connecticut in the winter. And we're going to mix our epoxy in another pot, which is going to go in here. It'll help keep it a little bit cool as it cures. And then we're going to spoon it out of the middle cup with an even smaller cup.
Okay.
Which will allow us just to work cold and keep it from curing longer. The first thing we need to do is a little bit of prep work. We need to spray our mold itself with a little bit of mold release. And then we're going to put in half of our plastic dies and spray those with some more mold release.
Okay.
So we're mixing a 2-to-1 mix epoxy, so we need to find the ratio we're looking for, and it's the second one in our list here, 2-to-1. We're going to need a good bit of epoxy, and we're going to probably mix more than once during this process, but we're going to start with 3 and 3. So
under master numbers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So under 2 we go to 3, and under 1 we go to 3.
Gotcha.
And that will get us the right ratio.
Makes sense.
We'll start by putting layers in here, and we're going to just lay them on top. Make sure they're kind of spread out corner to corner. It's okay if they shift a little bit. We have some extra wiggle room here. And we should try and go in order as best as we can.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. Is like, why don't you just...
Yeah, I can't get water content from that snow.
Right.
It's better to have too much than not enough epoxy, because then you can delaminate, so you don't want that.
Sure.
This is probably too much.
Even though it's not consistently all across.
Right, it's going to spread out.
Right, as we continue to
So
stuff.
grab a layer of white cotton there and get it at least a little bit saturated in the epoxy there.
So that's probably too much too.
That's okay. You'll start to figure out as we go along what's too much and what's not enough.
We're going black, so...
We probably have about 100 layers in here, which will give us somewhere between 3/8 to a 1/2 inch thick of finished product.
Perfect. That took 38 minutes. You were right. You said about 40 minutes. You nailed it, Jeff. Nailed it.
You know, I have a friend whose job was a construction estimator.
Yeah.
There's kind of a running joke between like him and his brother that, oh, what does he do as a construction estimator? Well, that looks like it's about 10 feet. That looks like it's about 30 feet. We're going to do this along the full, I get like 6 clamps on here probably, 5 or 6. This mold will seal on all the inside edges with silicone,
Okay.
plus this
Plus the tape. Plus
So
what, like hot glue or just
no,
silicone
no hot
stick?
glue, just the tape and the silicone. So it shouldn't leak, but inevitably some will find a way to.
Oh yeah, it always does. We clean up our mess, and that has to sit for overnight, maybe even 2 days. I'll probably let it sit an extra day or two. So Jeff, are you gonna just stand in the corner and wait until it's done?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit, fly on the wall. No, I'm out of here for the day. It's really good to see you, Tim.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, and I'll keep you posted as I'll do stories and stuff as I open it up. And,
Right. And we'll look
and-
forward to seeing this project in maybe a month or two.
Yeah, of course. If people are watching this, it will be instantaneous. There's our cut. All right. So hopefully we'll be able to break this apart. We used like a mold release so it wouldn't get stuck in there, but it could very well all be stuck in there.
Little legs.
There we go. So there's the first thing we anticipated. There you go.
Can I have that?
Yes. Yeah. So now this stuff in here, see, it has a mold release on it. So see how that came off.
Yeah.
So we actually might be able to save like a couple pieces of this to make another mold. But now what we want to try and do is save this plastic. It's not petroleum-based plastic at least. So.
Rest in peace, orange.
What I'll probably end up doing is just.
Will I make a sound when I come crashing down? If no one is around to hear me hit the ground, does a light shine as bright in the middle of the night when no one is around to have it in their sight? I just hit the ground, did you hear me? I just burst into flame, can you see me? monsters under the bed when I'm dead, asleep or only in my insomniac head. Will they apologize for all their lies, lose that nasty disguise? Now wouldn't that be a surprise? I just hit the ground, did you hear me? I just burst into flame, can you see me out there? No one listens, no one sees, but that doesn't mean it ain't happening. If any tree falls, the world has changed. I keep making sounds all over town, trying to turn the world around, to turn it right upside down. And I keep burning, burning, burning bright, to shower the world with all this light. I feel like I'll burn out tonight. I just hit the ground, did you hear me? I just burst into flame, can you see me out there? I just hit the ground, did you hear me? I just burst into flame, can you see me out there? Out there.
I'm real happy with the way these came out. I can't wait to fret them up and put them on some instruments, which you're going to have to wait to see that. This one is for a client, and this one is for something real special that a lot of you have been asking me about, and I'm going to do it. So stay tuned for that. Thanks a lot and be good.